Iggsy beer.
Iggsy beer, everyone.
Yeah, I am here, Mrs. Patricia Tosh. Laveen's just popped in because it's her son's birthday, right? So she's got to rush back, and I'm not ready, to whatever till our next studies. Then you will see me. But I'm going to put this up. It's George Galloway, right? Just a minute.
Turn it up.
Yeah.
George Galloway and the mother of all talk shows. Welcome to the Open University of the Airwaves with George Galloway.
He is dread.
Yeah.
Eid Mubarak to all the faithful Muslims of the world. The day when the month-long fast of Ramadan comes to an end. A very happy day for Muslims, unless, of course, those Muslims are in Gaza. And a happy Mother's Day. Only the mothers really care about the future because they give birth to the future with their babies.
Yeah.
Of course, one hopes it was a happy Mother's Day for you. But again, it wasn't if you were in Gaza. Today, more mothers and more children were slaughtered just for the celebration of Eid and Mother's Day. And of course, it could be even worse. You could be in Yemen, the poorest country in the world, being destroyed every night by the richest country in the world. And Tulsi Gabbard says he's the peace president. Well, not if you're living under the bombs that are falling in Yemen, and definitely not if you are living in Iran, where the bombs are about to fall. You've come to the right place to discuss these and all other matters. It is the mother of all talk shows.
Curious about our curriculum? Have something to say? Then call us now to join the debate on the mother of all talk shows. The only education you can get for free. George Galloway, the mother of all talk shows. With George Galloway, the world is our classroom, and you're welcome to sit in and join the seminar.
Of course, it's only the Eid today if you follow the diktat of Saudi Arabia, which those close to me definitely do. The Saudis cannot see the genocide in Gaza, even though it's only 800 miles away from them, but they definitely were able to glimpse the moon before everybody else, though that is 233,000 miles away. They saw it first. And, of course, for those of you celebrating Eid tomorrow, instead, my salutations and my greetings go out to you all the same. It is Mother's Day only in the West, which is why I'm wishing a happy Mother's Day to every mother in the West, to my own mother, to the mothers of my children, to your mother, and to mothers all over the world. And the quote from Mayakovsky that I gave earlier is a very profound one. Only mothers really do have the investment for the future because they carry it around inside themselves for 9 months. They have the labor of giving it birth. And so for them, the future is even more significant than for the rest of us. The Green Party launched a meme today in which they wished a happy day to all those with a motherhood role. Some people will do anything other than talk about mothers. Some of them will talk about anything other than women because they cannot agree on the very definition of a woman. But we can here at the mother of all talk shows. So happy Mother's Day to all those women who give birth. And that's, of course, most of them. With all sympathy and respect to those unable to do so, either through opportunity or through some other difficulty, the fact that mothers are the most important people on the planet also ought to be a commonplace. It ought to be common wisdom. It's the reason why, surely, that we cherish and honor women quite the way we are supposed to do. It's the reason why it's women and children first. It's the reason why we lament the death of women and their children, even more than we lament the unnecessary and in many cases violent deaths of other people. I'm labouring this point because I'm feeling it very keenly today. I watched the funerals this morning. Imagine having in the depredations of the refugee camps, concentration camps, death camps of Gaza, surviving all of Ramadan, fasting from dawn until dusk, unable to find clean water to break your fast, unable oftentimes to find even a crust with which to break your fast. Imagine your children being murdered in front of your eyes, your wife, your mother being murdered in front of your eyes today, this day, the Eid day. Now, religious people believe that those who die during Ramadan and during the Eid will be guaranteed a place in heaven. Personally, I very much hope that that is the case, but none of us can really know. It's a matter of faith, it's a matter of belief. And people of all religions have faith and have belief. It's not only Muslims that believe in God, though Muslims seem to practice their religion with a great deal more vivacity, a great deal more verve than the rest of us are able to muster. New statistics just today show that not even 2% of people in the so-called Western world who call themselves Christians ever go to church, except for weddings and funerals. Less than 2%. Whereas all over the world, particularly in Muslim countries, but all over the world, Islam and its adherents demonstrate, at least. To God, they hope, but to the rest of us, they surely do, their fidelity to their faith. I'm labouring that point because I'm addressing these next remarks to the leaders of what we call the Muslim world. I'm wondering how you're not able to see what the rest of us are seeing. And if you can see it, I'm wondering why you cannot do anything at all about it. And if you cannot do anything at all about it, I'm wondering how you think God is going to accept your fast. I'm wondering how you think on the judgment day, the fact that you fasted Ramadan 2025 is going to be sufficient to pass muster with the Lord when during Ramadan 2025 you did nothing at all to come to the rescue of your co-religionists who were fasting alongside you. Indeed, you watched them die. If you've got a telephone, if you've got a television, if you've got a computer, you watched them die, or you deliberately turned away so that you would not have to watch them die. Gaza is the most obvious example, but surely the Yemen is too. Why are people being murdered on this Eid day in Yemen? Because they tried to do something to come to the aid of the starving, the thirsty, and the massacred in the Gaza Strip. Indeed, were the only Arab country, only one, who tried to do anything at all to bring the suffering of fellow Arabs, fellow Muslims, to an end in the Gaza Strip. There is no other reason why the Yemenis are being murdered by Donald Trump, the peace president, according to Tulsi Gabbard, not 2 hours ago. The people in Yemen are being killed only because their armed forces tried to enforce an armed picket line in the Red Sea to disrupt ships going not to London, not to San Francisco, not to New York, but to disrupt ships going to and from Israel, which is carrying out the genocide which all of us are again watching. And nobody even says anything about it. Never mind does anything. Now, many of you are watching this and are saying now, I know you are, because you say it to me, what about the West? Indeed, what about the West? And I, believe me, am coming to them. But what about the East, first and foremost? The West are not Arabs. The West are not Muslims. The West are not hoping that God will allow them into paradise as a result of passing muster on the judgment day. All of these things are gone, dead, buried in unmarked graves, unconsecrated ground in Western societies. Western societies are godless societies. So the issue of doing what God would ask you to do, what Jesus, if he were here, would be showing you what to do, are null and void. Because nobody in the British government, nobody in the American government gives a damn about God. Of course, they'll lay on hands, they'll even speak in tongues. They'll wear their Christianity on their sleeve, but it's only on their sleeve. It is not in their hearts. Anybody who seriously asks where Jesus would stand on the slaughter, on his land, in the village in which he was born, in the town, Jerusalem, in which he was excoriated, tortured, and crucified. Anybody who asks, where would Jesus stand on what's happening in Palestine, really has to be joking. How can you know the gospel? How can you know the life of Jesus? How can you know how he kicked over the tables of the money changers? How he lashed with a whip the usurers, the exploiters, and who it was who chanted, "Crucify him, crucify him," when Pontius Pilate, the imperial occupier, asked the mass, "What shall I do with this troublesome priest?"
Jesus.
So the West does nothing, but then scorpions sting because they're scorpions. I'm asking you, the rulers of these Arab countries next door, how you can, never mind sleep at night, I know that you do, because you fill yourselves with the things that help you to sleep. I'm asking how you think you fooled God by your apparent fidelity, when if God is real, he already knows that you are false. Now, the big enchilada seems to be sailing ever closer. We are told by Donald Trump in what I took to be, well, a vaguely obscene metaphor, though it may just be my dirty mind, when he said we're getting to the final strokes with Iran. I took it to mean that he was about to come with his high explosives, perhaps even his nuclear high explosives. And if that's true, if he's not just bluffing, then of course it renders everything I've just been talking about odious, redundant. There will be no Palestine question. There will be no FA Cup final. There will be no Champions League highlights to watch. There will be no children to enjoy. There will be no wives to love. There will be no grass newly mown to smell. There will be no life anywhere on our planet. We will all be dead either immediately or in the ensuing nuclear winter. You think I'm exaggerating? Then you haven't read what happens when nuclear weapons begin to fly. And we're told by, amongst others, Scott Ritter, that the American armed forces have tailor-made nuclear devices that are designed only for the busting of bunkers and underground cities in which Iran holds its ballistic missile inventory. But of course, the use of nuclear weapons in Iran means the use of nuclear weapons in Saudi Arabia. It means the use of nuclear weapons in Mecca, in Medina. It means the use of nuclear weapons in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi. It means the use of nuclear weapons, yes, Mr. Al Jazeera, in Qatar, because nuclear weapons don't respect lines, artificial lines at that, drawn on desert sands, or rather on the maps of desert sands. The nuclear fallout will be everywhere, even if Iran does not have its own nuclear weapon to fire in return. Now, I got a lot of stick. Some people say I'll get arrested. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound. Better be hung for a sheep than a lamb. The Iranians would be idiots if they have not now got themselves a nuclear weapon. When nuclear armed powers, half a dozen of them, are threatening you with their nuclear weapons, it becomes more than a self-denying ordinance to deny yourself that which technologically you could have. And if you had, it would be a deterrent. Because that's what nuclear weapons are, isn't it? They are deterrents. At least that's what we were always told here in Britain. We're told we must spend tens of billions of public money to have nuclear weapons, not because we're going to use them, but because we are a deterrent against the attack from others. Well, if that's true for Britain, how can it not be true for Iran? If that's the real purpose of holding nuclear weapons, so that no one will attack you, why should any country which could have nuclear weapons not have them? In this, I so profoundly disagree with my friend Scott Ritter, who is taking the realpolitik approach, cold, analytical, and no doubt scientific, and definitely for a good reason. He is trying to stop an American attack on Iran, and I respect him for it. But he's trying to persuade us, and presumably them, that the only way to avoid an attack with nuclear weapons from the United States is to capitulate to the self-evident hypocrisy and double standards, which allows America to have thousands of nuclear weapons, but denies Iran the right to have one, which allows Israel illegally to hold hundreds of nuclear weapons, but denies the right of Iran to have one. More, which says Iran must allow itself to be attacked by nuclear weapons states, and that if it does not, somehow it is to blame. Now, as a father of 6, all of them young, 5 of the 6 of them young children, I'm the last man in the world that wants to see the world go up in nuclear smoke. But if I was in Iran, I'd be saying this to Donald Trump. You know, bullies will go to hell. Those that stand up to bullies will surely, if there's a heaven, be destined for there. And so do your worst, President Trump. Eventually, somebody has to stand up to the bully.
Michael.
And that somebody might as well be we who believe.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
God bless
See you next time.
everyone.
Guidance.
Guidance.